Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you all for coming today to this important event. Today we're joined with Mayor Beitler of the City of Lincoln, Mayor Lambert, the City of Plattsmouth, and Senator Patty Pansing Brooks. We're also joined by the Omaha City Forester, John Wynn, and the Lincoln Director of Parks and Recreation, Lynn Johnson. My name is Scott Josiah. I'm the Director of the Nebraska Forest Service, which is part of the University of Nebraska. Again, thank you all for taking time out today of your busy schedules to participate in this press conference. Your presence today and the presence of our speakers is a clear message that emerald ash borer is an issue of critical importance to this state, to our communities, and to our homeowners and landowners across the state. I also want to point out the students that are behind me, right next to an ash tree. These students are from Southeast High School here in Lincoln, and they have tagged literally hundreds of trees with ribbons that say this ash tree is at risk, with a website attached to that, so that people can go to the website and learn more about emerald ash borer. So they literally have spent all day yesterday and perhaps part of today tagging trees all across Lincoln, which is a great way to raise awareness. So thank you very much for all your work on that. The emerald ash borer is inevitably going to kill most of our ash trees in Nebraska. That's 44 million trees. About 1 million of those are in our communities. This is a serious problem. It's inevitable. It's going to get here. It's all around us. So our speakers are going to address what are the impacts and their perceptions of those impacts on our communities. So without any further speaking on my part, I'd like to introduce Mayor Beitler from the City of Lincoln.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
Well, good morning to all of you, and thank you for stepping out into this chilly weather to hear about something that everybody in the state needs to hear about, because as you know, one of our most valuable resources, our community trees, are at issue with respect to this emerald ash borer plague. It's really sort of a plague. You know, the city of Lincoln has come through several unusual circumstances in the last few years. The second greatest recession in the history of the city, the second greatest drought in the history of the city, a near flood, and now we need to deal with the emerald ash borer plague. The invasive bug is on its way. It's already destroyed, as many of you know, tens of millions of ash trees in 25 states, mostly to the east of us. It's now been detected in Iowa, in the Kansas City area, and it's also skipped over to Colorado. But technically it hasn't been detected yet in the state of Nebraska, but we know that it's coming. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, and knowing that it's a question of when, as intelligent people, we need to respond to it. Across the state, I think Scott and his people have identified the damage at about $960 million potentially across the state, as all of the tens of thousands of ash trees die and are removed. There is only limited good news, and that limited good news is that costs can be somewhat contained by addressing the problem in an organized and advanced fashion. So it's critical in each and every community, and it's critical at the state level, that we all get together and take steps to address the problem in advance of the problem devastating the state. We do not have the luxury of procrastination until it is detected, because the experts tell us, and we know from our eastern United States experience, that once it's confirmed, it will move very rapidly through the community. In just a matter of very few years, the trees will die quickly, the dead wood will build up, and we will have a huge problem on our hands in terms of potential liability and replacing trees. So we do not want to be overwhelmed. We want the education process to proceed rapidly. Here in Lincoln, we're dealing with 14,000 ash trees. And these are just the public ash trees. On top of that, of course, are multiple numbers higher than that on private property. We're projecting that this bug will cost us about $29 million over 13 years just to deal with the trees on public property. But we cannot afford to wait and risk the higher costs of brittle trees falling apart and creating a safety hazard. We know we need to be proactive in how we deal with this matter. So we're very proud of being a tree city here in Lincoln. 98 communities across Nebraska where trees didn't grow all that much a long time ago are tree communities. There's a rich tradition in the state with regard to its trees. Of course, the trees play in in a very real way in terms of sustainability and a broad good effect on the environment. I too want to thank the Lincoln High School students for what they did today, for what they've done in the past, and for what you're going to do in the future, right? To educate the public on this problem. I went out of the office today and out of our building, and there were already green trees all around, green sashed trees all around the city municipal building, which I thought was nice in terms of marking the work of these young folks, but kind of sad thinking that right there around where I work, a couple dozen trees are going to go down, and it'll make a profound effect. So with that, I want to stop and introduce Paul Lambert. I'm sure Paul, or perhaps Senator Patty Pansing Brooks. I'm not sure who's next on the schedule. Are you next, Paul?
Yes.
Paul's the mayor of the city of Plattsmouth. We work together in the League of Municipalities, and we're delighted to have him with us today to describe the problem in his area.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this morning, and thank you for your good words, Mayor Beitler. Our situation in Plattsmouth is much like Mayor Beitler described, but on a smaller basis, of course. Plattsmouth is a community of about 6,500 people. We've identified a little over 90 trees that are in public areas. To us, that means about $90,000. To us, that means a reconditioned rescue squad, possibly a couple equipped police vehicles, that instead of them, we will be dealing with trees. It's a serious problem. And in looking at other states, all the states that have been devastated, you can look at their situations, and the longer they wait, the more that it costs. Mayor Beitler suggested that the numbers that we're looking at now are $965 million. The longer we wait, it well can be over $1 billion that this bug is going to cost the state of Nebraska. Well over $1 billion. You know, we can walk out today and look at our yards and say, I don't have a problem. I don't have an ash tree in my yard. I don't care if you have an ash tree in your yard or not. It's all our problems. $1 billion tax dollars. It's going to affect us all. So it is to our best interest that we do what these young people from Southeast have done, and they deserve a round of applause again for the work they do. And thank you for all that you do. But we all need to get on the bandwagon, work with your state senators, work with your local officials. This is something that we need to work on and do it quickly, because the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost us. It's a serious problem, and What can one little bug cost us? Think of $1 billion. That's what one little bug costs us. You that have been around as long as I have can remember when the Dutch elm disease came through and what it did. The trees that fell on power lines, the public safety issues as far as falling on cars, injuring people, the dead trees that had to be removed. We're going to see the same thing if we don't act quickly. So please keep that in mind. And this is more than just something passing by. This is something that's going to be a serious issue to all of us for the next 10 to 15 years. So let's get on it, preemptive, and solve this problem before it costs us more money than it already will. So with that, let's keep working. And we have a state senator here who has done a lot and will continue to work in the next session to help us out. So with that, please let us know what we have in store.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lambert. Well, good morning. Welcome to you all on this cool spring morning, typical of Nebraska. My name is Patty Pansing Brooks, and I am the grateful senator for District 28, which is right where we're standing right now. I introduced LB 461 last year, seeking to appropriate funding in order to help the communities in our state address the devastating destruction we know is coming our way from the emerald ash borer. Unfortunately, the bill was not advanced out of committee and funds were not appropriated. But I'm undaunted. I am planning in my remaining time to continue to bring a bill forward, to continue to fight for state funding to assist the municipalities in working with and addressing this impending devastation and loss. As you can see when you drive through Lincoln, there are many ribbons on the ash trees, and we have a significant number right here in Lincoln. But these numbers would be similar across our state. They will be lost. Our beautiful tree city of Lincoln will seem barren if we don't take action. While I believe the state should play a significant role in addressing this devastation, ultimately the responsibility lies with our local governments, and I believe that we will need to help those governments to be able to handle this scourge. I encourage every city, large and small, to avoid delay in moving forward. Everyone needs to contact their senators. You need to contact people in your community to discuss this issue and to make a difference. The emerald ash borer is a threat to our health, our safety, and the welfare of our citizens by the weakening of our trees. We know that these trees, once attacked by the emerald ash borer, become brittle, and so they become more dangerous to property and to people around us. So they have to be dealt with immediately. It's not like we can just leave dead trees standing there. They must be removed once they die. And furthermore, emerald ash borer acts as a threat to our economic development in our state. We all know that it will destroy our beautiful tree canopy, and as businesses look forward and try to encourage other businesses and employers to settle in Nebraska across the state, once the tree canopy is so severely hampered and so many trees die, it will be more difficult, I believe, to encourage businesses to settle here in Nebraska. And the influx of businesses, the attempt to bring other businesses and attract new businesses and new employees, we will have greater difficulty than ever because of the treeless, barren results stemming from the emerald ash borer. So I believe we have to all come together as a state, in our own cities, in our neighborhoods, to make sure that future generations can enjoy the natural beauty that we are enjoying today. It helps our health, it helps our whole mindset is improved by each tree that graces our cities. I'd like to thank the Lincoln Southeast High School volunteers who wrapped the ash trees. They have been amazing, and we need more injection of enthusiasm from the young people and activities helping us to get this word out. So thank you to Southeast High School. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming out and supporting our efforts as we try to prepare for the devastation of the emerald ash borer. So let's get out, let's spread the word and talk to your senators, and let's get some funding for this to help the communities as we go forward. Thank you so much. And we're gonna tie this ash tree right now with these fabulous students. So here we go, you guys. Thank you. Here we go.
Nope, go right ahead. You guys gotta stay here all day, I guess.
Okay, come around in the front once you get it. Bring it back around here so you guys aren't hidden behind the tree. Come forward now. Come forward. Okay, I'll cut it and then you guys cut. You know how far to go out?
There you go for it.
Okay.
They have lots of instruction on how to get that thing tied. Yay! Thank you, Southeast. We appreciate it. And I think we need to thank the Parks Department too. Are you coming up to thank people, Dr.
No, go
Josiah?
ahead. I'm just going to ask if they had any questions.
No. Okay, good. But I do want to say it. Just thanks to the Lincoln Parks Department. Lynn Johnson, who's here, of course, has been such an amazing advocate and has really helped bring this to light. And Dr. Scott Josiah, you're going to come up and answer some questions from the State Parks Department. But we're so grateful for all your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your great remarks and for your support in this really important issue. Are there any questions that anyone has for myself or for any of the speakers or for any of the other folks here?
With the funds that we're seeking to get, how will this prevent devastation from the ash borer beetle?
Okay, so the question was, with the funding that would be provided by LB 461, how will that reduce or impact the level of devastation from emerald ash borer? The funding would be channeled to communities to do both preemptive work of removing dead or overmature or declining ash trees that are already sick, to get them removed and replanted prior to the insect even arriving in those communities. That would help to maintain the city's or the town's canopy of trees and maintain those benefits that those trees provide. There are signs on these trees talking about the benefits that these trees provide. So that's one way. It would also pay for replanting of those trees, so and disposal of the trees. That's basically the effort. So it would take the pressure off these communities. What happens is so many trees die so quickly in a very short period of time that it overwhelms communities, their ability to handle all the dead trees, and the costs go way up. Contractors begin to charge much more for those trees. So it helps the communities get way ahead of the problem and manage it and stretch it out over a longer period of time so that they can cash flow those costs much better.
Is the insect attracted to those dead or older trees, or how will that?
The insect is not attracted to dead or overmature or not vigorous trees. The insect attacks all ash trees, vigorous or not, small or not. It'll attack a tree down to 1 inch in diameter, all the way up to a very old tree. So it's very non-discriminatory. It will attack any tree, any ash tree, excuse me.
When are we expecting the bugs to be in Lincoln?
The question is, when are we expecting the insect to arrive in Lincoln or in Nebraska? I would expect the insect could already be here. It's a very tough insect to find. It's a very small, it's about the size of a dime, and it tends to feed in the upper branches of ash trees for several years. So it's very difficult to find. The damage doesn't show up for 3 or 4 years, and then eventually we'll find it 4 or 5 years after it's been introduced. And by that time, the populations are exponentially increasing in numbers. And that's when it explodes across the landscape or across the community. And within the next 7 to 9 years or 8 years or so, about 70 to 80% of all the ash trees in that community die. So that's why it's a very compressed time, and this whole effort and this legislation, LB 461, is an attempt to spread out that period of mortality and those costs associated with that.
So it's not here yet, but
We have not found it yet in Nebraska. It probably is. It's all over Iowa. It's in Kansas City. It's in Colorado. It's very likely that it's here already. We just have not found it yet.
you were talking about some of the causes or like the devastation it caused. Like, could you break that down health-wise? What are those effects?
There's been a lot of experience in other cities about the impacts after emerald ash borer comes through, and certainly there's the issue of costs, which you've heard about today a lot, but there's also an issue of human health. When whole streets lose all their tree cover and homes around and large trees are removed, there's a lot of impacts on human health. The number of cardiac arrests, the number of heart attacks increases after those trees are removed, just from the stress of not having trees on your street and higher temperatures in your home. Energy costs go up. Wildlife habitat declines. There's a lot of different issues. Stormwater, the load on stormwater hard infrastructure, your sewers and your water drainage systems in a community, that increases because the trees are not there to intercept the rainfall and the snow. So there's a lot of different diverse impacts that are very negative when you lose this many trees over a short period of time.
Do you know approximately how many ash trees are in the state?
There's the question is how many ash trees are in the state. There's 44 million at last count. Most of those are in our forests. About a million of those are in our communities. And there are large numbers of trees in our windbreaks. We're benefiting from a windbreak to here today. We're all clustered around the lee side of these trees. That's one of the benefits of these trees. But in windbreaks and agricultural windbreaks, ash is a major component of those windbreaks. And so we'll lose all of those, and those have huge impacts on agricultural productivity, protection of soils, and wildlife habitats. So it's a big deal. Other questions? Okay. Is a wrap up? Okay. Well, thank you all again so much for attending this press conference, and I thank you again to the speakers, Mayor, and Senator. And I really appreciate your taking time out today, and I think we all do, because this is really an important issue that we have to address. It doesn't make any sense to keep delaying or to procrastinate. This has to be addressed now. So with that, thank you again, and this is a great time to go plant a tree. Don't you think? This is spring, so.